Welcome to the When We Cry Book Club podcast, where we will be... Well, okay, cool. We did it.
We did it.
It's not a recording without this fucking tongue twister. Okay.
The first stamp on the bingo this time.
I think I'm going to have to, have a pause between every single word because I think there's something wrong with my mouth. I can't say too many W's in a row. Okay. Welcome to the When We Cry Book Club podcast, where we will be discussing Umineko's 4th episode. This is the 9th part of our episode discussion. I am your host, Lorenzo.
Mushroom, you're streaming, so you're first.
What the fuck? Oh god, I'm
Exposed.
Shut the fuck up. I am brain dead.
Me too.
I was even gonna say, when you say the When We Cry thing is hard to pronounce, I was thinking about how hard it is to pronounce World War III for me for some reason. Like world.
Yes, it's basically like rural.
Or ruler.
Rural.
Ruler is another word that's hard to pronounce.
It's like trying not to pronounce the k in muscle.
Anyway, hello, this is your friendly neighborhood mushroom, currently speaking completely dominated by tree cum, which is the fucking things that are coming off goddamn trees.
No.
Completely killing me as a person. So hopefully if I do sneeze into the microphone, I would be smart enough to mute myself or it would be edited out. But, if you hear me kind of congested, that's the reason why.
It's best that you do not mute yourself out, lest you forget to unmute yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
But hello, I am your great equalizer, Des, and I am not covered in tricum. I am, however, covered in something else, because 2 episodes ago, Lorenzo had COVID. An episode ago, Mushroom had COVID. This episode, I have COVID.
What? Oh,
How is that possible?
Let's go!
oh my god.
That is so impressive that we have had COVID episodes like that.
True.
Are you on the first few days of COVID or you're on the last days of COVID?
I am actually on the last day of COVID. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, how do you feel?
I feel good now.
Good.
But I also feel worried for Ambi because he's the 4th member.
Oh, don't say that. If Ambi
I
gets
hope Ambi's careful the next week.
if Ambi gets fucking COVID, I'm gonna be so fucking mad.
It's the curse of the book club. It's because we've been taking so long to finish Ep4.
It's gonna finish us before we finish the book club. You're right. Well, I'm glad that you're relatively okay. I was thinking 2 episodes ago? Oh my god, that was 4 months ago.
True. Yeah, it's honestly speaking,
Jesus.
I think we have said that EP4 will take us 40 years, and it did take us 40 years, so.
Good job, everybody.
Anyway, what have we been doing, Lorenzo?
What have I been doing? Well, I had most important news. I rolled that Sexy Bara Tiger in Arc Knights. It only took me 15, over 200 rolls, but enough about gacha games. I went to a convention this past weekend, or last weekend.
True.
It was really fun. I missed it because they hadn't been holding it for the past 2 years for some reason. And then I went, I wilded out. It was great. No Umineko cosplay, but I did see a picture of Erika and Hanyu cosplay out there, so representation.
Wow.
Why did you not cosplay Beatrice?
Oh, I should have. But so the thing is, for the past few times we did go to this convention, my brother has a last minute costume. That's just kind of what he does. So this year's last minute costume was a body pillow covering, and he cut it into a dress kind of. So he stuck his head and arms through it.
Oh my god.
And it was a hit. Everybody wanted to take pictures with him. And he's like, I don't even know who this character is. It was Ayaka from Genshin.
Oh,
Ayaka.
Yeah, and people were just staring, because you know how body pillows have the relatively normal side
Yes.
on the front and then the party in the back. So everyone was just staring at his backside.
that's actually a really great idea.
I know. Yeah, I think I have a picture. I can send it to the chat thing so you guys can see it. But
Nice.
yeah, it was really fun. And that's basically what I've been up to since the last time. It's been good. There are a few more conventions this upcoming summer and stuff I'm looking forward to. So I'll report back to you guys on that. What else is new with you guys?
Oh, I will go first. So, as I am going down my hole of getting super, super fucking into Genshin as a person.
Oh no.
I want to report my most godly polls of time just to.
Free to play, by the way.
Oh yes, I'm a non-paying player. I'm never gonna pay in this game. I will never put down money.
Keep it that way.
But are you ready to hear my god play poll?
Yeah, flex.
Go for it.
2 days ago, I basically did 3 10 polls, so I did 30 polls in total.
Okay.
During that time, I pulled 2 of the special like the special banner twice, and then the standard banner once. So
Wait, let me interrupt you. I need to look at this. Can we show this to the audience, Lorenzo?
Yeah, go for it.
wait, I need to look at it. I didn't even see
Amazing.
it yet.
That actually looks so good. It looks like a kimono.
Oh my god, holy shit, that's so fucking funny.
It was such a fucking hassle putting it on and taking it off. It was a really tight fit.
That is so funny. Your brother like for some reason jacked as fuck with that art.
He is jacked as fuck. That's why it was so hard to take on and off. It was like he needed, you know how like cosplayers need like a handler to make sure that they like, you know, don't die on their own.
Your brother looked like he's gonna fucking like just like rip the Ayaka off him.
Yeah, like he did. He did rip it a little. So it works out. He filled it out and everybody was like, oh wow, amazing, I love her.
Damn.
Queen. And I'm like, I have no idea who this woman is. Oh, sorry, an aside. A plug for my friend. She was tabling there. She sells Genshin pins. I'll link you guys. And she did amazingly. So I was like,
that's great.
Good for her.
Oh, nice.
Good for her.
Shout out to Lixie.
Let me go back to my god poll. So throughout this, okay,
Yes.
this is gonna this is really fucked up. So in this 3 10 polls, every single time I pulled 2 characters. It glowed gold twice.
What the fuck? That is actually...
First thing I got was Ketching and Yangfei. And then the second one is Diona and then Barbara, which is in my second temple. And then the third temple, I had a friend in the call who was basically like, hey, I want to one day get my catching to a C5 catching, which means you have to pull catching 6 times. And then...
Only C5? Not C6?
Oh, C6 catching. That's what they wanted to get.
Yeah, Kaching simps. Goddamn.
In that fucking call, in my last poll, like in my last 10 poll, so my favorite character of all time is Yunjing because I love her design. Like,
yeah, Yunjin is so cute.
yes, I'm gonna do a cosplay of Yunjing one day. But anyway,
Nice.
literally, like I was like, I don't give a shit about anybody else. Like, I don't even care about the sexy archer lady, like whatever, fuck, like it doesn't really matter. I just want her so I can give a nice bow to her, but like it doesn't matter. So I literally sat there. I was like, okay, time to pull my last one. And then the last one I pulled, it glowed gold again, and it was a fucking... I will just send you what it looks like so you can see what it is.
Well, it has to be the banner character because the previous one was Kaching.
Yes, this is standard banner. Like,
And by the build-up, I would say you got...
no,
Yeah, you
look,
got Yanfei.
look at the fucking poll I had.
Wait, you got 2 Kachings in a row?
Yes, I got 2 catching. I got a 5-star character, a 5-star book, and then got Yunjing, who was a person I wanted the whole time.
You know what? When Yunjin came out, I pulled like 100 just to get her. And I got 1.
Oh, damn.
1 Yunjin! I actually have the worst luck.
That was the most god tier luck I ever had in my life, which is that I pulled 6 characters, basically 4 new characters in like 6 polls, basically. In 30 polls.
That's amazing. That's actually amazing. Goddamn.
So yeah, that's my most like proud achievement. I guess it's not even an achievement, but I was like,
It is. It's really nice getting the character you
yeah,
really want.
I literally was on call and people were like losing their fucking minds.
That's the most fun kind of way to play gacha games, you know?
Yeah, and I am strong in my ways of never paying for this game.
Good. Keep it that way.
I'm currently AR40.
The reason it's extra funny that it was a Kaching main that was on call and you got 2 Kachings is because Kaching mains are actually Kaching mains and Ayaka mains are like the biggest simps and they have the biggest simp war because Kaching is actually really weak compared to other 5 stars. So they fucking studied the game to exhaustion just to make their character a little bit better. And Ayaka fans had been simping for Ayaka a year before she came out.
No, oh my god. So, basically, I want you to imagine I was sitting on call with an Ayaka main and a catching main, and my friend who's a catching main is also a psycho, and who basically plays this game with, like, the most spite in the world and wants to build Amber into his strongest unit because he hates the, because he has a hate in his heart.
Oh, Amber.
I just want you to know that.
Well, so after 10 minutes of Genshin...
That's 10 minutes of Genshin, and that's what have you been doing?
Okay, I started and dropped... Okay, this is real dangerous territory. I'm about to say the name of the anime.
Okay.
I started and dropped Kino's Journey. I don't know if I'm missing something. It just isn't clicking for me.
It's okay. I also... I think Kino's Journey is the type of anime, if you don't watch it at a certain time period of your life, you just think it's boring as shit. It's kind of like the same feeling of, like, either you like Mushishi or you just think Mushishi is boring as shit.
Okay, well, way to gatekeep it.
No, I wasn't saying that, like, as, like, a bad thing. Like, while I enjoyed Kino's Journey from a technical level, I don't love it as much as everybody else in the world.
Okay, so what would you say is the ideal time of your life to watch Muchichi and...
No, I'm not saying it's the ideal time of your life. Like, as in, like, you just had to be strapped onto a chair and watch 20 episodes of it so then you can get into the feeling of watching it. I don't mean it in a way to be like, oh, like, you know, you had to watch, like, Ouran High School Host Club when you're 12 years old, and if you didn't watch it then, you will never like it.
Okay, but I watched half of Kino's Journey, and that's when I dropped
Yeah,
it.
I think it's boring. Like, I think it's really boring. It's a cool idea, but, like, it's an idea that lots of other shows has done better since.
Okay, what's the idea there exactly? Because I'm not sure I got it.
It's like you're watching Kino's Journey season 1, right? The original Kino's Journey?
Yes.
Mushishi does the exact thing, which is man wanders through the wild and then he...
Episodic structure.
Yeah, like, he encounters good people, bad people, like, and then he tries to help him, or he not tries to help him, and then...
So it's basically just Monster.
Kinda, but, like, or, like, instead of thinking about, like, Monster of the Week, it's more like the World of the Week, like, as in, like...
No, I did... Yeah, okay, I get it. But I was talking about the anime monster, not the monster of the week formula.
Like the anime monster. Correct, sorry.
Yeah, well, the other thing I did was I started playing Fire Emblem Path of Radiance.
Yeah, because you hate yourself.
And it's easy as shit.
Shut the fuck up, that's not true. You're lying. You're a piece of shit.
What? How am I lying? It's actually so...
Path of Radiance is not lying. Like, Path of Radiance is not easy.
Okay, Mushroom, is there a possibility that you could be getting confused with Radiant Dawn?
Oh, Radiant Dawn. JK Law. Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Okay.
Because Radiant Dawn is the one people say it's hard as shit, but that's because of a... Did you know, Lorenzo, they fucked up the translation on the game difficulty in Radiant Dawn, and that's why people say it's hard as shit?
Yeah, I think so. I
Isn't
recall
that fucked up?
That's actually the worst place to fuck up in the fucking difficulty.
So wait, are you playing on normal mode?
I'm playing on normal mode, yes, but I'm playing Path of Radiance. Radiant Dawn is the sequel, and they mistranslated easy to normal.
Right.
And normal to hard. So when you start playing on normal, you're actually playing on hard mode.
It's the funniest thing possible.
Fucked up.
I don't like Path of Radiance because I'm playing on normal modes, and literally I'm clearing every game with a single unit. That's not good.
Damn. What's your opinions of the new designs for Three Hopes?
Yo, I'm loving the fanboys. That's all. Ash and Ignatz have such fanboy energy on the original Three Houses, and I'm like, good for them. I love that, and I love that. If I could pull off the fanboy aesthetic, I would. and then fucking Three Hopes comes along and is like, what if we made them even more fanboy? How is that possible? And not only did they make the fanboys even more femme, they made Linhardt a fanboy when he wasn't a fanboy originally. It's so good.
They should just call Femboy Emblem. That's good. I mean, I like the redesigns. Most of the redesigns are really good.
Especially Annette. Goddamn Annette.
I also think they fixed Mercedes' hair. It makes me so much happier. Her fucking hair in the original bad. Almost made me not marry her.
Well, I love talking about Fire Emblem because everybody's just so superficial about it.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like I like Edelgard because her work crime. It's like I like Edelgard because she's hot. Like lol. Like what do you want from me?
I like Edelgard because she has the balls to say shit like, is your lack of self-awareness a condition of some sort in the first 5 minutes of the game? Amazing first impression on the character.
Yeah. I will forever remember the fact that I was playing the game and one day I just turned to my friend and I said, "Hey, do you realize the fact that because Byleth saves like Edelgard regardless in like every time in the beginning of every route, and that's why Edelgard that's why Byleth is technically responsible for all the crimes that come later."
Oh my god.
And I was like, well, easy. If she didn't save, if Edelgard didn't save Byleth, but if Byleth didn't save
Byleth didn't save
Edelgard, then
yes.
none of the things in the later will even happen. But hindsight 2020.
What if we save this episode though and start talking about Umineko?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Here am I learning from Lorenzo's immaculate transitions.
We edit. Oh, thank you. We edit as we venture out from the world of Genshin and Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem.
I mean, sorry, femboyism.
Femboyism, yeah.
Emblem.
Femboy Island.
Femboy Island. Being a femboy is a mindset. So I think if you just like put your mind to it, anyone can be a femboy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
quite inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep going. Keep at it, dude. Where were we last time? Well, we wrapped up the main portion of episode 4, and now we jump into the tea party during the aftermath on Rokenjima, correct?
Yes, this is where the longest tea party of all time comes in.
True.
I know. So, on the island, it's nearly midnight on October 5th, 1986, and Battle is drunkenly wandering around the island alone, munching on a pack of shredded cheese, college style. Not really. He's drinking wine and ham. Drinking ham.
This is the life, he says.
He's like, oh, I didn't need permission to eat ham by itself. Oh,
my whole family's dead, but at least I get to drink alcohol.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
So he's looking for Maria. He's trying to figure out what happened because the night prior he was called to the mansion to talk to Beatrice to go through his headship succession trial, which he apparently failed because Beatrice skulked away and told him to go to the chapel, and he found a bunch of keys to the mansion. So now he's unlocking every single door, trying to find where Maria is. So he first checks out the dining hall. He stumbles across 7 corpses. That's Natsuhi, Eva, Hideyoshi, Rosa, Rudolph, and Genji. Those were the victims of the first Twilight. They have half their heads blown off, and so you can identify them clearly and confirm that they're hella dead because not a lot of people can survive with half their heads. And in addition to that, there's Maria, whose head is not blown off, but it looks like she's been poisoned. And it's kind of weird because it looks like she wasn't poisoned against her will, like someone convinced her to drink something. So Battler spends the next few hours on edge. He thinks that he's alone with a killer on the loose, but he realizes that he's alone. He's popping into a room. He's like, "Wah, I gotcha." And he's like, okay, no, all right. And he checks behind all the doors. There's nobody there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, honestly, this portion of the tea party, the vibes are immaculate. It's genuinely speaking really scary and a really well written part where you're just wandering an empty island where every single person's dead. I feel for some reason the best way I can possibly describe it is that screaming in the opening for the stage play is this feeling.
Yes, for sure. It's funny because when you're reading through the first 4 episodes and everybody just fucking dies, and then you're like, wow, that's so horrible. And then he's wandering the aftermath and he's like, wow, I'm all alone. Everybody's dead.
That's very true. I think when you're reading the beginning part of Umineko and then you get to the middle, you're like, oh, it's the 3rd time around now and everybody's dying, and that's not a big deal. You don't really feel how you're just waiting for people to die, and then you get to this scene and it feels like it all snaps back into focus again, basically being oh, actually people dying is bad. Lol.
Oh no, yeah, people die when they are killed.
And it's a little weird because he's just kind of oh, yep, they're dead. Everybody I've ever loved, my entire family, they're just gone. So he's going, he's replaying the events that happened prior, but he's still wandering. He's investigating basically. as he's in the dining hall, he's a little bit puzzled because he remembers that Goda and Kumasawa came blubbering. They're like, oh, there were like bunny girls and like pitfalls and everybody like fell through the floor. And he's like, searching the room meticulously. And as far as he can tell, like their accounts aren't substantiated by any like presence of a pitfall or some other like trapdoor.
This is like when I'm trying to look for something, then I tell my mother I didn't find it. Then she comes into the room and instantly finds it. And I'm like, what the fuck?
It's like those TikToks where they do that, what's it called? Data meshing, where like the video glitches out and something materializes, and they do that with like, moms finding stuff out of thin air.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I know the exact video you're talking about with the fridge, right?
Yes, with the fridge, and then it kind of devolved into people like turning their mouths into like buttholes and stuff.
What
so
the
I was
fuck?
like,
What?
no.
Actually, fuck that. We did not watch the same video.
I feel like Lorenzo always have the most mortifying version of the thing that you're trying to describe. He's like, have you watched that version? And everybody's like, no, I haven't.
Like the one where people like, I guess my TikTok For You page is like constantly filled with like horny posts because like they use that meme to like make their faces into like chairs and stuff.
Oh, so this is really the...
Me when I'm furniture.
Yeah, it's like the chair-kun thing, yeah. This is a furniture thing.
Yeah.
They are all Umineko fans,
yeah.
clearly.
They're like, let me pull up a seat for you, and then like their face is also the chair.
Oh my god.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
So-
kinda.
Yes.
He's trying to find those pitfalls. Can't find them. Battler notices that. Oh well. He also mentions that on the way to the mansion, he noticed that George was shot in the head in the garden. Good. And then he goes up to Jessica's room and finds. He unlocks the door and finds her corpse there with her head kind of split open. And he recalls how she was telling him over the phone, really calm-like, that she would be found this way, and that he should should he come to her room. And then he imagines like the scenario behind that, like, okay, well, how would she have known that her head was split open? How is she talking so calm? Maybe she was already injured in the head and like knew that the killer was like gonna come and finish her off. But it was also weird how she mentioned that George was already also dead, and there's no real way of feasibly knowing that from her room. Like you can see the garden, you can't really see where his body was,
And there's also a storm around.
it was like impossible to see out. So maybe she just really also hated George and like wanted him to manifest his death like that, which he did. So
Willed his death into existence.
Queen. Yeah, I know, right? She just said, yeah, and George is like fucking dead now. He better be, because like I'd be so pissed if I was like,
He better be, because when I get to find him, he will dead be for sure this time.
right? Like I'm about to die. If he's not fucking dead by the end of this, like I'm coming back from the grave, man. You don't know what's gonna happen.
Honey, you got a big storm coming.
Or just one. So Battler goes he comes across Kyrie's corpse, locked in another room, a first floor guest room, and he sees that there's a demon stake gouged through a bullet wound in her forehead. He's also weirded out by the final words that she gave him through the phone, and how she was being attacked by a magical being through the locked room's keyhole. He's like, okay, well, she's dead, but I don't see any signs of like, a magical golden thread like trying to like fucking kill her.
He should have checked her eyes. She could have been high.
Maybe.
Yeah, she could have, but just smoking the immense amount of weed crack that
Weed
like
crack?
Kingsoul has with him.
Umineko weed crack.
Crack laced with weed, or weed laced with crack.
I know, right? He should have just like checked all the tables and like saw all like the powder everywhere. Everybody was
And
snorting.
you're like, I guess like Kiria out here smoking like lines of fucking coke off of like Rudolph's like humongous titties. That's just the image I have.
That's literally what happened this episode. Like everybody was on a bender, and Battler was like, "Oh no, he wasn't here last year. He didn't like it's like bring your own BYOB." And he's like, "Nah, he doesn't get anything."
He's like, wait a minute, this isn't the smell of gunpowder.
This is the smell, and then he's like, "Oh, that's the good stuff."
Yeah. This isn't a beach. This is a bathtub. So it's another meme, but I digress. Wait, should we fill you in?
No, it's fine.
Okay, well, I'll tell you later. I'll tell you when you're older. So Battler says it's hard to refute any of like the victim's last words. That he says that despite being all fantastical, they also don't contradict each other. Like, I mean, it's kind of weird how multiple people said the same thing: trapdoors, bunny girls, bara goats, gold threads, but like none of it contradicts each other, which is really strange. Like kind of weird. But as we all know, they were all like on something, and he wasn't part of it. Considering Kinzo's obsession with the occult, it's somehow not that far-fetched. He finds Krause's body on the way out towards the back door with his head split open. And outside the back door is a well, and around the well are Nanjo and Shannon's bodies. And he suspects that the well leads to the hidden Kuwadorian mansion. He tries to get through, but it's like blocked off with the covering that he can't open. So he has to like go back and find some tools to pry it open.
I think he found a crowbar or something. I think.
Yeah, kind of. He goes to he's on his way to the back through the mansion and out into the shed, and he notices that there's like a big ol' stank coming from the boiler room, and he comes across the burnt corpse of Kinzo, ID'd by the extra toes because he's a fucking sicko, and the first thing he does is check the feet. He like grabs I think he grabs like an axe or something, and he breaks into the shed, the garden shed out.
It's a hatchet.
With a hatchet.
He grabs a hatchet and wire cutters.
Yes. So he comes prepared, but he's like, maybe there's like something in the garden or...
No, it's because the garden shed is where Goda and Kumasawa is at.
Like, it's a whole process. He finds the pipe, but the pipe has a grid on it and he can't break through. So he decides, I will go to the shed and grab a fucking thing to... I don't know what it is. Like the thing you keep scratching the iron, then the iron breaks. I don't know what
like
it's
a file.
called.
Yeah, he goes to like get more powerful tools.
Yes, but he can't break into the shed, so he needs wire cutters and a hatchet to break into the shed. So he goes to the boiler room. It's a whole side quest.
Yes. So he breaks in. He realizes Goda and Kumasawa died by gunshot wounds to the head and not by hanging, as their feet were on the floor.
Dun, dun,
Again
dun.
with the feet, man.
That's actually that's just such a plot twist.
Yeah, he has got a big old foot fetish. But
Not
he
that.
surmises. Oh, you mean the the gunshot?
Did you
wounds.
actually think I meant the feet?
I thought you meant the feet because that's the first thing you paid attention to.
Oh my god, I meant the feet, but not feet fetish.
Okay, well, yes. And he surmises that they were probably strung up to divert attention from the true causes of death. And he finds the garden shed key in Goda's pocket. So the garden shed was also a closed room because the only key to it was somehow inside the locked room. So with that in mind, the only missing person of the original 18 of the islands is Cannon, who apparently fell down the well. He can't break through the well, or on top of that, like the grating is too strong to like break through. So Battler goes back to the mansion and tries to make out the accounts of the survivors he encountered, and none of it makes any sense. Bunny girls, gold threads, what was going on in here? What the fur is going on? He goes back to the Beatrice portrait in the parlor, and he meets her in the metaverse. She asks him in the metaverse if he was able to explore and gather evidence through enough to explain the human side of things. And cue the last battle. So as a heads up, we kind of decided throughout the previous episodes that we went enough in depth with these red and blue truths that we don't need to pick them apart piece by piece, because we kind of
Yeah, these red and blue truths refer to previous episodes, and we've already brought these up when we discuss the episodes that they refer to.
Exactly.
So, yeah, there's that.
So it's almost like there's a battle to the death, a last battle mode, if you will. They cue the red and blue truths flying everywhere, and Battler turns Beato into a pincushion with his truths. So they have an all-out brawl, and Beato ends up crucified, impaled through the coochie up through her chest. It's kind of intense, and she's begging Battler, kill me! Oh my god, it hurts so much!
Oh, and also iconic small bombs. Because small bombs was never countered, that means small bombs. We can technically speaking use small bombs to explain all of Umineko, because that's just the best way possible. And then one of my favorite things I got to read is that one time Dubs was on a r/Ruby Reddit post, and then there's this new character named Beatrice, and somebody's like, Beatrice small bombs, and then Dubs was so worried. Dubs messaged me and was like, I think I accidentally read spoilers about Umineko. And I was like, what? And he was like, here's the link. And it was like, small bombs. Your food has stuffed with small bombs. And I literally just started laughing so hard. I was like, I'm sending this to Des. Des is going to get a kick out of this.
Oh, it's just so funny. But I get it. It sucks. It sucks not even knowing if you've gotten spoiled or not.
Yeah, but Umineko small bombs, definitely a spoiler. A spoiler of comedy.
I was gonna say the other feasible explanation is if you've guys seen or heard of that show The Boys, there was like a scene that recently aired, or I guess they released all of them, but like there's a guy with a superpower who can shrink himself down like really tiny. I think his like, superhero name is Termite.
Oh, so it's like Ant-Man?
Ant-Man, basically. And they took a few pages from like the Thanos Ant-Man discourse, and they were like making this termite guy explore his boyfriend's butthole, but then he like sneezes inside and like blows him up and kills him from the inside. So that could also be an explanation behind the small bombs.
So you just described the small bomb, except it's an organic small bomb.
Yes, it's a tiny man crawling into everybody's buttholes and like killing them from the inside.
Jesus,
that sounds like a yokai. That's the kind of shit yokai stories are about.
Yokai story? Oh my god. What yokai watch are you watching,
No, not yokai watch, the actual yokai.
Yeah, it's all like a horny man pulls souls out.
There's this yokai that's the yokai that Wutoad and Wombre and those Pokemon are based on. That's kind of like just a monster that tries to get your ass so that he can suck an egg out of your ass.
Yeah, I know that. I know what you're talking about.
Because apparently they believed people had eggs in their assholes, and that yokai just like to take it out. That's the thing. That's what Japanese people were fantasizing about back in the day.
It's weird ass shit.
Where did they get eggs in the asshole thing? They thought of the ovipositor before the ovipositor was a thing. That's crazy. How creative.
What is that?
We'll tell you about it when you're older.
Yeah.
Okay. You'll tell me about it when I'm a fanboy. Okay.
Yes. Femboys only here, Where was I? We got hella sidetracked. Beato's asking Battler to like fucking kill her and to end it all. And he ends her final words to him are asking him who she is. Like, Battler, who am I? My final riddle to you.
Honestly speaking, funny story. So
Yes.
I was watching this part of playthrough with Dubs, right? And then Dubs was basically like so confused at that point. Basically, he was like, and I was literally sitting here being like, "Wow, I'm crying. Like this part is so good." And he was like, "I really wish I knew what you're like. I really wish I can understand like what like why you're crying," because he's like, "I know this is a really powerful scene, but I don't know how the scene is powerful." And I was like, yeah, I don't know, my dude. And the music for this part is so good. The voice acting is so good. But honestly speaking, as a first-time reader, you're just like reading it and you're like, I don't fucking know what they're talking about. Like, what the fuck?
Right.
You don't know the depth of the question, but just the fact that the episode ends with that and that the credits roll, so cool.
Yeah, I was on dumb baby mode and I was like, oh, well, I guess I won't know how the mystery's solved, especially since after this, so they ask, or Beatrice asks, who am I? They embrace, ended the tea party. My final message, saved a whirl. And then in the secret tea party, Bern and Lambda are canoodling in the Golden Room's bed. And they're talking about how wrong Battler was with his truths and how weak Beato is and how she'll never get her happy ending. And then you get a Lambda Burn jump scare. So I was waiting here, just barbecue sauce on my titties, just like waiting for them to like tell me the whole ass answers. And little did I know that there was some substance to the next 4 ass episodes 50 hours later of the answer arcs. So I guess we'll have to wait before we get the true revealed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyways,
it's really good how you just go through the tea party and you're like, haha, answers are being given. And then you get to the secret tea party and it's like, JK, those answers were wrong. But I'm also not going to tell you the real answers.
Yeah, my favorite thing that have ever happened to me while watching this is when So Dubs has this like a whole theory about EP1, where he thinks that Nanjo killed Canon. And I was like, why are you so... Like, he was like... He's saying it half as, like, a joking theory, but he half kind of believes it. And then there's literally a part in the game, like, in the Secret Tea Party, where Lambda's like, you think Nanjo killed, like, Canon? Like, haha, you suck. Like Kumazawa, Genji, and Nanjo did not kill Canon, and he's like,
are not
fuck,
killers.
or not killers. And he's like, fuck. He was like, I can't believe I just called stupid by a 14-year-old anime girl. Like, what the fuck? He's like so mad about it.
Yeah. You know, one day I would like to understand why Kinzo turns into a fucking dragon in the Tea Party as well.
He's the Dragon Master.
Sometimes things just happen in Umineko, and it just leaves you to try to process them.
He went Warlock mode.
What does that have to do with turning into a dragon? And the dragon looks like Kinzo too somehow.
Yeah, he's a Warlock.
Do warlocks just turn into dragons?
No, he's magical. He has, cult ability or, occult abilities and all that. I wouldn't put it past him.
It's really funny that because of the fact that Umineko is all about metaphors at this point, you feel like when you're staring at a curtain, you're like, the curtain is blue, it doesn't definitely have to have a meaning.
Must have been the wind.
I'm sure Dubs will find, some Wikipedia rabbit hole explaining absolutely everything behind, the writing's intentions.
Maybe it's Pendragon. Maybe it's Pendragon. Maybe that's what the
Oh
dragon...
my god, it
Potentially.
may actually be Pendragon.
Yeah, I believe it. Dragon, pen, writing, Umineko's written media.
Shut the fuck
Yeah, I
up.
get
That's...
it.
Dragon Knight 07.
Oh my god, yeah, Dragon 07.
Exactly.
Louis Kishi, when are you gonna give me phase 2 of Ciconia? Sorry, I just thought about it and I have to say it out loud. I'm just so sad.
And you've only been here for half the time of the wait. Actually, you've only been waiting for a year or two. Or a year and a half. There's people who've been waiting for more.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I didn't want to fucking read it. Because I didn't want to be sitting here waiting.
Well,
Like, could you imagine being idiots?
sucks to be you.
Yeah, exactly. Sucks to be me, indeed. Anyway, sorry.
I was also gonna say, Umineko has many lines that go hard. And one of my favorites is in EP2 when Butler says, parting remarks are a loser's privilege. Say as many as you want.
Oh,
But then this tea party comes in. And actually, one of the hardest lines in Umineko is as simple as Beato saying, no more than 17 humans exist on this island. It just completely cancels all of Patworth's reasoning. It's so funny.
yeah, it's literally so iconic and like such a good it just kills every single of those like theories. It's wow. Thank you, Ryukishi. You really know how to crush children's dreams.
And Eddie, no. I was gonna say power.
Yeah, I know. So excited for Rat to come to the world.
So excited for Redacted.
Redacted, exactly.
Rats?
Redacted is my favorite flavor of horrible.
Oh, rat. Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Oh, it's a meme. It's an in-house meme going on here.
I guess you could call it that. Another note I have here is that I really like the way that Butler broke through Eva Beato's red web. Because he only broke through that red in this tea party. He didn't actually figure out a way to solve it back in EP3. It was only here that he figured out a way to solve it. And I really like it. Because the explanation is the red truth was given at a different time from when the people actually died.
Yeah, I honestly speaking, okay, if we have to give a rating on all of Battler's red truth and like all Battler's blue truth, is that like some of his blue truth is way better than the other. Of course, like small bombs is actually not as bad as everything else, but like there's some really stupid fucking theories about device X and device something, like that's bad. But like the truth about the fact that like, oh, maybe somebody was declared, like somebody killed Nanjo before like the red truth was declared again, is honestly a great red truth, like because that is something that's actually really helpful for you if you are going to solve other like Umineko Mysteries is to apply that line of process, like that line of thought to that.
I don't even think Small Bombs is that bad of a blue truth.
I don't think Small Bombs is bad either.
First of all, Butler wasn't even being serious. He was just bullshitting around at that point. Because he can get away with just saying unknown divides X, and that just fits. So going to the extent of actually coming up with something like Small Bombs is just him fucking around. And second, he doesn't actually need to explain it. That's the rules of this game. Butler doesn't need to explain how it's done. Just to explain a way that it could be done by human means, not actually explain what did it.
Well, the problem is that that's because Beatrice is playing it really fast and loose. If Beatrice, gave him more specifics, being like, you can't, like, if they were playing by the detective's rules, then, then he is doing a poor job. But because Beatrice is, so lenient on whatever the fuck he get to say, he, she just allowed him to say all these stupid fucking shit.
Yeah, we'll get more into this detective talk on the answer arcs.
Yeah, but even Lambda Delta talks a lot about it in the Ep4 Tea Party, like Secret Tea Party, because she basically is like, oh, that's fucking dumb. If we were really playing a detective game, who the fuck would be talking about device X? Like, talk about things that have more more substantial than that.
Yes, but mystery novel staples aside, the fact of the matter is Beato decided the rules, and the rules is that the human side doesn't need to be specific, and Butler just takes advantage of that and just says small bombs, because it just needs to be a way to do it. It doesn't actually need to make sense.
Yeah, and then that's why Beatrice is very nice to Balor and didn't, grill him. Umineko could have been so much harder if, she was. I actually really like the fact that, it's set up this way because basically, if you are not a detective novel, person that you read a lot of mysteries and know the conventions of it, lots of people will be like, well, what if this existed or that existed? And, Umineko is about building that whole thing up and, having a character agree with you and then, breaking you down completely by saying, actually, that's not allowed. That's illegal.
What? Wait, what are you talking about?
Just, buying the way of, how to interpret mysteries. For example, introducing the idea being oh, maybe, there's a 19 person on this island, maybe an extra person on this island, and then for the game to be actually, it's fucking stupid for you to think that there's an extra person on the island, because they have never been introduced, so they are not here.
Wait, do you have the hiccups or something? Because when Mushroom said that, you were like, or...
Yes, that was a hiccup.
Were you taken aback? You were like, how dare you?
No, that was a hiccup, yes.
Tell me I'm wrong?
Yeah. So it's too bad because I would love to talk about the emotional things about this, because we're currently more talking about Red Truth mechanics and logistics, but the emotionality of what Beatrice is asking Battler is really beautiful. I think that's something that Sayome has way better idea than both me and you.
Yeah, unfortunately Sayome could not be here like we said she would on the previous episode. But we do eventually we'll record something with her just so she can say her thoughts on this tea party, and then we'll post it as a smoking room or something.
Yeah, because I honestly speaking, I love the scene, but I cannot do the reading of the scene is just hard. It's a vibe based scene. There's such specifics, but I do have to say the line where Battler and Beatrice are just standing there, and Beatrice being I'm going to kill you. There's nobody on this island besides you. And and now you're going to die. And you're just what? And then they hug. And then emotional music happens. And then the fucking credits roll. And you're what the fuck just happened? That doesn't make any goddamn sense.
It kinda does now.
Well, yes. Not to us it makes sense now. But it doesn't make sense when you first watch it, because you're just
yeah.
What?
You're just Butler, my brother in Christ, you've been fighting this witch for the past 4 episodes. Why are you hugging her now?
Yeah. The sexual tension has finally paid off, and it's in the most confusing way possible. It's really funny because I was talking to Dubs about this, and Dubs was like, for a show that for a story that basically, has a lot of really strongly charged sexual tension and shit, you have never seen any character kiss at all, like throughout like this whole thing. And I was like, what? How is that real? And then I thought about it, and I was like, that's kind of true. Like, nobody kisses in the story.
That's how tense it is.
True.
No, that adds to the tension.
Isn't that so weird?
I mean, Eva and Hideyoshi probably do in EP1 when they go back to
like
their room.
explicitly stated kissing.
Well, no, they don't kiss.
Yeah.
They just like embrace, and then like
And bone.
and then the scene just kind of fades to black. It's not like the story is like, and then they fucked hard.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Hideyoshi got hella pegged that night. In the butt and in the forehead.
Yeah, well, going back to Butler and Beto though, I do have a note here that about how much of a sweetheart Butler kinda is, because even at the end of the battle, he doesn't intend to kill Beto simply because he wants to go back to Angie, but because he wants to go back to Angie, and because he wants to end Beto's pain that she's going through right now, even though he doesn't actually understand what's going on right now. But he understands she's in pain, so ending her pain is one of the reasons why he intends to kill her at the end. And that's really cool.
I would say, like, I have to say, when I was reading this with Dubs said, like, what's more romantic than a man saying, like, oh, I'm not gonna fight you because you are, like, I'm not gonna fight you until you are fighting at your full potential, because, like, I believe that you have so much more than this, and that's why we are going to, like do this, and, like, because he believes her, and he knows that she is way better than this, and, we should fight to our full heart's content. And he was like, wow, what a lovely scene. And I was like, I guess so. That is a funny way to
go study the blade and come back when you're stronger.
Yeah, kind of like that. But it's very good. Honestly speaking, do we want to continuously talk in non-spoiler territory, or should we go into spoiler territory?
Yes, I have more non-spoiler.
Okay, what's your
Okay, go for it.
I imagine that in the Secret Party, when one is criticizing Butler's answers, I imagine that this is where people who didn't really like the answers in the Tea Party would kind of regain their hope in the story. Because I can imagine people not liking the answers in the Tea Party, so it's good that one does criticize Butler's answers.
I feel like my personal thoughts is that I feel like Ryukishi probably went online and read about what people fucking said and was like, it would be really funny if I could, like, make fun of their ideas. Not make fun of their ideas.
I can believe
but poke fun of their ideas and, explain why are they wrong and what kind of thought process are wrong. Basically, it's like, that's why I think the whole Device X starts from, because, like, saying things like Device X is a very amateur thing to say in a detective novel, because, to have a room to be like, oh, this room was locked, and then in the end of the minute being like, oh, actually there was a secret door in this room this whole time, like, that's an ass pull. Like, that's retconning a lot of things, and that's just bad. That's bad writing, not only just being bad detective writing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think Ryukishi just went online and was like, gotta go find all the top 20 spiciest theories and then make fun of it in my fucking novel.
But in your experience of watching Let's Plays, do people usually like the theory, the answers being given in Tea Party? Do they usually believe those are the actual answers?
The thing is like, most people I watch, like, if you do a playthrough in general, you already are spending way more, like actual time thinking about the game and actually actively engaging it, unlike, people who are not doing Let's Plays. So, like, most people walk into EP4 Tea Party with their own theory in mind, and it's like you're checking with an answer sheet of, like, what could possibly pass through or not. I feel like some people be able to be like, Balor's being stupid here, and being like, or why didn't Beatrice counter that? And it's like, if Beatrice didn't counter it, why didn't she counter it? I think there's more, like, thought process behind there, instead of just being like, Ryukishi's a stupid idiot. Why did he just write all these bad explanation into his good story?
It's more of an answer sheet. People don't usually go, who do Let's Plays, don't usually go into the Tea Party just without already kind of an idea of what actually
Yeah,
happened.
and I think like that's honestly really important in a lot of Umineko reading, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't want Dubs to go into EP5 right now, because I'm like, you don't actually have a cohesive idea.
You're not ready.
Yeah, like as in honestly speaking, like you're not like you don't have a very like substantial idea of what you think the whole mystery is, and honestly speaking, you will be cheating yourself to go like immediately look at the answer sheet, like
Go study the blade.
yeah, exactly. Go study the blade before you want to come. And honest, like that's my personal like thought process about like reading Umineko, especially that part. That's why people should like. I think people should probably warn each other, like be like, you should probably have blah blah set at some specific time, like so you when you can like be like, this is the last moment I can decide on like solving this before I can't anymore.
Well, I'd like to continue this discussion in spoiler part, because I do have a counter argument.
Okay.
Are we done with non-spoiler talk?
I have a last thing to say,
Go
which is
for it.
I just love documenting all the little amazing lines that Umineko gives us. And right at the end of the secret tea party, when the Delta and Baron actually say the fucking hardest shit, they say, a miracle will certainly not occur.
Yeah, words that you don't know how it would hurt you until later in the story. And then you're like, wow, that was way worse I can possibly have ever imagined.
Okay, Lorenzo, I'm done now.
If you don't want to be spoiled, leave now. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. Tune in next time. See cats, do crimes.
study the
Catch you
blade.
later. But I know you're a sick fuck who will listen to the entire episode. So
Honestly speaking, I don't know who is listening to us that hasn't actually finished Umineko.
exactly.
Yeah, me neither, but we started doing it this way. We gotta keep doing it this way now.
Welcome. So all I'm saying is you are a sick fuck if you finished Umineko. So welcome to the spoiler discussion.
Amazing. Welcome back from studying the blade. How do you feel?
Yeah, what do you guys want to talk about? There's a lot to talk about.
True. I do want to talk about the vibes that Beato gives up.
Honestly speaking, I want to save the emotional part of this when we're talking if like Sayome is here, and because I feel like it would be easier. We could talk about logistic stuff more if we want to.
I have a lot of the notes for the emotional side.
Do you want to save that with Sayome, or do you want to say it?
No, we should discuss it now. Like, we should discuss what we know now, and then whenever we can get Sayome on, she'll discuss what she knows.
Okay, cool. Let's do it.
You can go first, because I'm just generous like that.
What the fuck?
Okay, go for it.
This is the part of EP4 that like really tricks my part of my brain to think like this game is about beating Beatrice and killing Beatrice and going home to Angel, which as a stupid whatever year old I was when I was reading this, thinking that was the end game of Umineko, which is brutally not that.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, it's not about like surviving and going back to your family. It's about reconciliating with the things in the past.
Okay, speaking of Butler having to defeat Beato and going back to Angie, my first note is actually precisely about that. So, why does defeating Beato equal Butler returning? And I would say that is because the Butler inside Toya is burdened by having failed Sayo, and wants to at least remember the person that she was, aka solve the riddle that she is, aka solve the mystery that Toya himself is writing about, and only when he understands the mystery that he is writing about, only when he understands what happened on the island and what the people were doing.
Like, he can find himself. Yes, I 100% agree. That's a very good reading.
Yes, only then can Butler have peace, and in turn letting Toya have peace.
Yes.
Unfortunately, though, it happens too late for him to be able to return to Angie.
No, actually, I actually don't think that's true. So the thing is like, Toya has to accept the battler within him. And, the reason why Toya rejects to even meet with Angel for all these years is because he cannot accept a battler within him. And, to be able to solve the mystery of this island, solve his mystery about himself and about his family, is for him to actually accept all of those things and accept himself. And like, they did meet together eventually in the end, like 20 years from like 1998, like more than 20, like a few decades after 1998. And like all those things did happen. It just happened very, 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 very late.
Yeah, that's what I said. It happened too late for him to be there for Angie, because Angie needed him
Yeah.
a lot of years before that.
I know. I mean, it's Umineko, fucking Umineko.
Because like he does know of Angie, and he does know that Angie is the sister of Ushiromi Abator, but he's still struggling with even understanding who is this person that's inside of him. He doesn't, at this point, he doesn't yet know that he was Ushiromi Abator. He just, maybe he suspects it.
Well, I think there's a lot of things he suspected, like, you know, like he was found and like all that stuff, and I don't think like he didn't have lingering doubts about it, but like knowing that and accepting that is two very different things, I say.
Yeah, because also accepting that you are Ushiromi Abator comes with a lot of baggage.
Yeah, exactly. Come with the fact to be like, oh, everybody I know is dead. Also, like, I
was involved in this incident that I've been writing about for the longest time. Also, I've been kind of abandoning my sister for years, and she's been going through it.
Yeah, and then, you know, knowing that your sister had really publicly, like, attempted, like, to commit suicide is, you know, not a very good thing to know.
Yeah.
Everything about that is really interesting. I mean, the Who Am I is just so good. I can't even begin to, like, unravel how good that scene is.
I mean, she's, like, on the verge of tears, and he still doesn't get it.
No,
I think he does get it, kind of, and then... Wait, no, he gets it in episode 6, right?
He gets it
at the end of Ep4.
Yeah, Ep5.
Oh, 5?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because Ep6 is when he becomes a game master. But I was also going to say this. I do want to walk away from the emotion side for a little bit and come back to Battler walking through the whole island. Do we want to...
Oh, okay. Then before you go to that, let me just finish my thought.
Okay, go for it.
Just before we leave the emotional side. Because on the previous episode, I said that Butler being brought from the void of nothingness was after Toya had attempted to kill himself after the identity crisis he had because of the whole Asumu situation. In real life being represented by the scandal of, oh no, Ushiromi Rudolph we've just found out he wasn't faithful and blah blah blah, and that kind of affected Toya in ways he didn't expect. And headaches and shit. And so, as we've been saying, even on this episode, he doesn't want to accept he is Ushiromi Butler or even think about the possibility. So, why is Butler in the meta world still fighting Beato, aka still trying to understand Beato? So, I would say that until now, Toya was probably fighting Butler inside him, but after he figured out about Asumu and failed to kill himself, and then heard about Angie's death, a part of Butler awoke, and Toya started regaining some of Butler's feelings of wanting to be there for Angie, even if he doesn't understand where that's coming from. So now he accepts, this is where he accepts Butler as part of him, and actually tries to keep remembering what actually happened there. Not because he wants Butler to take over him, but because he wants to at least satisfy this other person inside him who he now shares feelings with.
That's a good way to put it.
Because like, we know he gets headaches, so maybe he could think that instead of trying to fight it, if he accepts it and tries to actually remember, maybe the headaches will go away. And that would be Butler coming back from the void and actually fighting Battle again.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like, one of my favorite fanfics about this Umineko is that there's a really good fanfic about Toya wandering the halls of Rokenjima, and he just keeps finding dead bodies, and then he gets confronted by Battler. And it's just the most interesting way of describing, like, oh, like, I am you and you're not me, and please leave my body. But like, now we are both trapped here forever in the past, and what should we do now? It's just like a fantastic way of like describing it in a more fantastical setting, you know, where two versions of you are talking to each other.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you want to say about pattern investigations?
Okay, so I honestly just want to start like beginning to talk about how is it possible for all the murders to happen. It's logistic talk time.
Oh! You want to get into that? That's the main dish, mushroom.
Yeah.
You sure you want?
I mean,
Okay.
because like I think honestly speaking, this chunk is very meaty. Like
Yes.
like as in this whole two parts of like the secret tea party, the tea party, because there's an emotion and then there's a logistics, and both of those things we can spend a whole 2 hours talking about. So I think we should
Exactly. That's why I was like, don't you want to get everything about the tea party and secret tea party specifically out of the way before we actually tackle the mystery of Ep4?
Okay. Okay, so a few things, since Corey Coleman has wrote a lot in our comment section, so I do want to include these few things. I think I mentioned this before, and I really like the idea that the golden strings feels like it's like sniper rifle laser thing, but I don't think it is. I think Kitty is full on lying, and she was just pretending to be like, my phone is getting cut off, bye, and then walked away with it.
Yeah.
And then she gets murdered later.
I'm not sure if I agree. I did use some of Corey Coleman's ideas as well.
Okay.
But so tell me your whole theory, and then I'll tell you my whole theory.
My whole theory. I don't exactly know. I think we.
Okay, then I'll tell you my theory.
Oh, okay, fine, great, thank you.
She did coke. So much coke.
It's Coke.
Okay, my theory unfortunately does not involve Coke. Well, only the one Ryukishi was on when he wrote fucking Ep4.
Exactly.
So, in the beginning, Sayo announced her position as head and convinced everyone to help in exchange for all the money. So everyone acknowledged Kinzo, since they were now all in agreement with the false narrative. This narrative, as we've explained in previous episodes, does not encompass all of the fantasy, or any fantasy for that matter, because it's hard to keep a cohesive account of what's actually going on. So the narrative was just Kinzo showed up with accomplices and shot everyone in the hall, and everyone fell through trapdoors. Because that's what Goda tells everyone on the guest house when he gets there. So after the first phone call, everyone is still alive, and Kumasawa and Goda were sent to the guest house, and then Sayo served everyone in the dining hall tea, planning to poison everyone. And then we've discussed at length who gets poisoned, why they get poisoned, when they get poisoned. In my theory, this is where they get poisoned, and Sayo suspected not everyone was gonna get poisoned, but at least a big chunk of them were. And in my theory, only Kirie survives the poisoning by chance. And I say by chance because
She's built different.
well, it could be, but
Well, but that doesn't make any sense because Kraus was also calling.
yes. But this poisoning happens after the first call.
Oh my fucking god! So there's 2 rounds of poisonings.
No, there's one round of poisoning. I'll go over the accounts again. Sayo convinces everyone to help in exchange for money, right?
Okay.
Then they make the phone call where Kirie, Kraus, Nanjo, Shannon, and Kanon speak on the phone.
Okay.
But everyone else is alive and in the dining hall as well. Then Goda and Kumasawa are sent to the guest house, and then the poisoning happens. And only Kirie survives. And even though Kraus is alive in the fantasy narrative through the rest of the episode, he doesn't speak on the phone. He only speaks on the phone on the first...
And also because Kirie is the one who's telling the story, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, so only Kirie survives. And I say this is by chance because if she didn't drink the tea because she was suspicious of the tea, she would have told Rudolph not to drink the tea either. So it was purely by chance.
Okay.
So Kirie is now the only survivor of the first Twilight, and she flees the dining hall, which wasn't even locked. And the reason it isn't locked is because it would be trivial, since they could simply break a window if they wanted to flee.
So currently she is the body's even been like shot yet?
Shot? No.
Okay.
They're just poisoned. Everyone just started falling asleep, and maybe some of them even tried to escape, but eventually fell asleep, maybe trying to escape.
Okay.
Because the poisoning started taking effect. So I'm not saying everyone got poisoned and fell asleep at the exact same time. It's possible that Kraus, for example, also managed to flee the dining hall, but then the poisoning took effect as he was running away. So Kiria was the only one who actually didn't get poisoned. And I'll come back to Kiria. So then, let's go back to Sayo. Sayo, after serving the tea, possibly stations Genji at the door of the dining hall, maybe to shoot someone if they were trying to escape. Maybe if too many people didn't drink the tea, But anyway, Sayo goes to her room to prepare herself for George's test. So Kiria takes this opportunity and flees to her room to call the guest house. And this is where the second phone call happens. Kiria flees to her room to call the guest house, and this room was Jessica's room for whatever reason. Maybe it was the furthest away from where Sayo was, or from where Genji was, or something. Maybe it was just the room that was closest to her. Doesn't matter. Genji and Nanjo, though, saw her enter the room, and Kiria sits down, picks up the phone, but then Genji and Nanjo, who saw her enter the room, knock on the door right as the guest house crew picks up the phone. So now Kiria has been caught with her pants down, and instead of relaying all the information she actually was gonna relay to the guest house, tell them Sayo was behind everything, telling them that everybody had been poisoned, instead of telling them that, now that she has been caught, she instead changes her plan to be like, haha, actually, I'm going on with Sayo's orders. She has simply had a conversation with me that you were not privy to, Genji, haha. And that is also why I think that Kiria tells the guest house crew the order of the tests, because it would be weird. So I think it's just like, see, Genji, I have so much information that you don't have. Does this make sense up until now?
Yes. I mean, I think it's an interesting way of solving it. Yes. Yeah, it's a very interesting way of reading it. I do want to say to the audience who are listening, when we are writing our alternative ways to solve Umineko, it doesn't mean that we don't understand that there are people who have there's more concrete ways on the internet where people majorly agree that this is a way of solving it. We're just trying to write more interesting narratives sometimes. It doesn't mean we don't know what people are saying online. We do.
I don't, because I actually make a point of not reading what other people are saying.
I do. I read a lot about what people write about online because sometimes I'm not satisfied with a lot of commonly agreed with theory. That's why we made the whole episode about the linked chain room thing in EP3, and now that linked chain room is completely obsolete because of the fact that Yukichi just stopped describing a fucking second door in the boiler room. Still the worst fucking thing of my life. That fucking link chain room is gonna haunt me in my nightmares.
Okay, so anyway, right now we have Kiria in Jessica's room contacting the guest house with Nanjo and Genji at the door. The reason Kiria chooses Jessica to be the first one to have her test is because Kiria knows George is gonna be called now. Because I can imagine before leaving the dining hall, Sayo said, and now the first test is gonna be George.
Or something.
Stay there. You can drink the tea if you want to pass time. So Kiria knows George is gonna be called first, so she doesn't call George, because that could create some confusion. If Sayo called the guest house to summon George, and then George had already been summoned by Kiria, that would be a problem. So Kiria, who knows George is first, calls Jessica. But why doesn't she call Butler, for example? Well, she doesn't call Maria because she's a child. She wouldn't help. And she doesn't call Butler because she knows the guest house is the safest place in the island right now. And Angie really likes Butler, so she summons Jessica in hopes Jessica will help her defeat the bad guys. So Jessica is summoned, and then I would imagine Genji would be suspicious of a conversation that Sayo would have had with Kiria, but not with him. So after the phone call to the guest house, he uses the same phone to call the room where Sayo was supposed to be, but she's no longer there, so she doesn't pick up. So instead, he asks Nanjo to go find Sayo and confirm that what Kiria is saying is true, while he watches over Kiria to make sure she doesn't go anywhere. Does this make sense up until now?
Okay.
Okay, so Nanjo is going through the mansion, while Sayo is also going through the mansion to leave the mansion, while Jessica is also going to the mansion. Because remember, George and Jessica were called a short time one after the other. George was called when he and Butler were running up the stairs after having said their goodbyes to Jessica, basically. Which was what sussed me for a possible second party calling the guest house, because it wouldn't make sense why Sayo would call two people so near each other. So anyway, right now you have Nanjo, Sayo, Jessica, and George on the move. Jessica enters the mansion, and after she enters the mansion, Sayo leaves the mansion and meets with George. And that's when Nanjo also leaves the mansion. It has to be in this order so that nobody meets anybody.
This is such a speciality, yeah.
Yes. So then Nanjo finally finds Sayo, because he was going through the mansion trying to find her. He finds her outside speaking with George, so he's not going to interrupt it. So Nanjo just stays there as Sayo gives George his test, and Jessica goes to her room. Then George's test, I say, goes like Corey Coleman said, and now I'm gonna read Corey Coleman's comment on it. Corey Coleman says, Shannon Beatrice appears to George and tries to get George to confess his love to her. We kind of see it in the Gap fight with Mirror. During the fight, George talks to Gap as though she is Shannon, with his love speech that Shannon can hear. You could take that as George talking to Beatrice, who looks like Shannon. George lets Shannon close, then when he relaxes, gun to the head, Shannon kills George. It also fits George's choice, because Beatrice/Shannon wants George to affirm they are married and solidify the fact that they both loved each other as human. Because George chooses 3, which is to sacrifice everybody else, by the way, we assume that George did affirm it. I think what Corey Coleman means here is like, Sayo actually did not believe George. As we've seen on all other episodes, every time George and Sayo are mentioned, Sayo doesn't actually believe George would accept her. So even though George chose to sacrifice everyone else, Shannon kills him. But now here's a more nuanced take on this, because Corey Coleman also describes this part, which is George chose to protect himself and Shannon. So he chose to protect their love. So Sayo, by killing George, is protecting his love with Shannon, because George would never find out the truth about Shannon.
That's a good take. Yeah, I agree.
Honestly, Corey Coleman, the things this person thinks about, like, I really like this explanation.
I mean, Corey Coleman did say, like, well, I did read Umineko 7 times, and, you know, I guess, or something, how many times that they read it. Drop in the comment section on how many times you have read Umineko.
So Jessica reaches her room. So right now in Jessica's room you have Jessica, Kirie, and Genji. But Kirie knows that Nanjo fled and he's on the run, about to relay the information of Kirie's desertion to Sayo. Now that Jessica is in the room, and now that Genji would have to stop both Jessica and Kirie from running away, if they were both to run away, Kirie runs away because Genji can't catch 2 people. So Kirie runs away and is trying to find Nanjo to stop him from telling Sayo what happened, while Jessica is just dumbfounded in her room with Genji. Obviously she would ask, hey, what just happened? And then obviously Genji can't say anything because he doesn't know if, like, Sayo still wants to test Jessica, so he can't tell her, hey, this is all a play that we're putting on for you. This is all a show for you. So Jessica just keeps asking questions and Genji just doesn't answer and also doesn't let Jessica escape. So that just makes Jessica very angry because we know how confrontational Jessica is, and that just leads to a fight, just like on the fantasy narrative.
Interesting. Wow, you really do be working all of these in.
Yeah. Right now Kirie is going through the mansion and she thinks, wait a minute, I don't think I can kill Nanjo, like, I can catch up to him, but maybe not kill him. So she goes to the kitchen and gets a knife. Because why wouldn't she, honestly? And then, when she finally finds Nanjo, they start running. Nanjo fleeing from Kirie, and Kirie trying to get Nanjo with a knife through the garden. She pursues him through the outside of the mansion, and they finally end up in the back of the mansion. Because obviously, Kirie wouldn't want to pursue him into the area where Sayo was, because Sayo is the big mastermind, and Nanjo also wouldn't want to flee from Kirie into the region where Sayo is, because that would interfere with the test, and who knows what Sayo would do. So they just end up running to the back of the mansion.
So they've been running in the woods, and then fucking she just throws.
She lands a hit.
Yeah, she throws a.
She lands a hit.
And
Nanjo falls.
Damn.
Yes, she lands a hit in the head. This is very important because Nanjo has no wounds anywhere else. So she wounds him in the head, and he falls. She probably stabs him some more times. I don't know. In the head too.
That's such a fucking metal place to stab people with.
Well, if you already have a wound in the head, why would you stab anywhere else, right?
Because everywhere else is more of a meaty flesh body, and like your head is a fucking piece of like bone.
No, but I mean, if you've already broken through the bone in the
my
head,
fucking
why
God.
not just keep stabbing there?
Okay, fine. You are allowed to keep stabbing the head then.
So after Sayo was done with George, she went back into the mansion and heard the fight going on Jessica's room. So she dressed up as Canon and went inside. Then Canon says something to the effect of, "Your determination to save everyone, my lady, by killing the threat is truly commendable and the making of a true head. You, my lady, have passed the test. Now join us testing the others." Then he gives her a piece of paper with her lines, and after Butler hangs up, Jessica is shot. As simple as that. And it's very important that Butler is the one to hang up, because Butler does not hear a gunshot in Jessica's phone call, only on Kiria's phone call.
Yeah, question about that.
Yeah.
So in that version, you think Genji shot her instead of
No, they were just fighting mano on mano, you know?
No.
Brawling?
No. But like what I'm trying to say is like, so is like Sayo standing behind her, and then so Sayo's the one who shot her?
Yes, Sayo comes in as Jessica is trying to fight Genji, because he's not telling her anything.
And then
Dressed up as
okay.
Canon, obviously. Sayo comes in as Canon.
Okay.
And Jessica is fighting Genji. So she tells her this was all just a play, this is all just a show, and you can join us if you read these lines. As simple as that. She didn't test Jessica.
Interesting.
And then shot her at the end of the conversation. She didn't test Jessica because also, how would she? The whole script is already fucked. So, after Jessica is shot, Genji then tells Canon, aka Sayo, about Kirie. And instead of killing Kirie as soon as possible, Sayo decides to make Kirie useful one last time before killing her. So, Kirie now has two options. Either going to the guest house and recruiting Butler, or going to Jessica's room and helping her defeat Genji. Remember, she just killed Nanjo. She doesn't know that Sayo already knows of her desertion. So she either goes to the guest house and recruits Butler, or she goes to Jessica's room and helps Jessica fight who she doesn't know is already dead. So she chooses the latter and rushes back to Jessica's room. There she finds Jessica's corpse and Genji's quote-unquote corpse too. This would be like Sayo's way of making Kirie believe that Sayo doesn't yet know of her desertion, because Kirie just goes there and literally the only other person who knew of her desertion is dead on the floor, or pretending to be dead. So now that Kirie believes that Sayo doesn't yet know of her betrayal, decides to go to the guest house. Except Sayo is waiting for her at the entrance of the mansion. So when the two meet, Sayo leads her to a room and asks her to read some lines. And after that, she's just shot. While the phone call is still going, because Butler does hear a gunshot.
Oh, so you think that whole line, like, that's where the real gunshot, like, as in they,
Yes.
she reads it and then she just gets shot.
Yes, this time Sayo does shoot her before Butler hangs up.
Okay.
So maybe Butler hanging up before the gunshot wasn't even intentional when Jessica was killed. Maybe it just happened to be that way. Butler hanged up earlier than he did in a conversation with Kirie.
Interesting.
So yeah, Kirie reads her lines, possibly being held at gunpoint, possibly not. She doesn't have to be being held at gunpoint. Sayo could be playing dumb and playing as if she doesn't know that Kirie has gone rouge. And it's not like Kirie would have any other option. Yeah, then Kirie is killed, and then Genji goes to deal with Kumasawa and Goda the moment Kirie leaves the room. Goda and Kumasawa, the way I would explain their murders is that at any point in time, Butler and company could just return to the shed and find both Goda and Kumasawa alive, which shouldn't happen. So the plan was for them to set up the hanging ropes, like let's just say that the window that we do know the shed has is facing the guest house. So if they saw the kids running in their direction, they would just stand up, put on the hanging ropes and pretend to be hanging, because it's not like you could see their feet are on the ground from the window. So that would be a perfect illusion. But then they were just killed through the window. Genji just went there with a gun and shot Kumasawa and Goda through the window. And that's why Goda still has the keys on his pocket.
I don't know if that's possible.
Why would that not be possible?
Shooting both of them in the shed through the window?
Yeah. Like, they don't need to be one after the other. They could be both, like, displayed side by side in a window view. Like, I know the CG gives you the suggestion.
No. But the window is not open, right? Or is the window locked?
No, the window can be opened from the outside. That's how Butler gives the shed keys to Kumasawa and Goda from the outside.
Are you sure?
You can just open the window. Or even if you, for some reason I'm misremembering and you can't, remember, Kumasawa, Goda, and Genji are on the same side, so he could just tell them, hey, open the window. Hello, could you just put your ropes on so we can check if the structural integrity of the illusion is still working out? And then he shots them, because it's not like they would have much of an avoid stat being hanged. So it would be really easy, even if they tried to avoid.
Okay. I think what they have also might have done, I think I forgot where this was explained at a certain point, or I just have a memory of something. I think it might have to do with a long string and to how to return the key that way. Like a long thin
What?
Like a long thin string to return the key from outside of the room to inside of Goda's pocket.
But why do you need that? Why do you need such a complex explanation?
I don't remember. Sorry.
You can literally just ask them to open the window, put the ropes on, and then shoot them.
I think the window could be open. I think the window could be open, but it's just too small to crawl in. I think that's just how it is.
Yes, it is too small to crawl in, but it's not too small for a gun barrel to be put through it.
Or it's not too small for a key to be returned through it, I think.
So anyway, the reason I say Genji is the one going there and not Sayo is simply because of time constraints. Because Butler leaves the guest house right after Kirie is shot, and right after that he goes to the guest house before meeting with Beato at the entrance of the mansion. So Genji would have to be the one to kill Kumasawa and Goda, because Sayo wouldn't have enough time if she only went to kill them after killing Kirie. So as Sayo is killing Kirie, Genji is killing Kumasawa and Goda. Because also, this is really fucking stupid. I don't know if Ryukishi just forgot to keep the timing in mind, because the timing of Ep4 is just so fucked. Do you know how much time goes from the first phone call up until the moment Butler leaves, up until the moment Kirie is killed?
I think it's really short, right? Like there's like a half an hour, or is it 11 minutes or something?
It's a mere hour.
Okay.
From the first phone call to the last phone call. But even weirder than that...
No, it's 2 hours, right? Okay, here,
No, it's from 10:40, let's say that, 10:40.
Oh, you mean by, it's the part is, 10:40-ish to, 11:40-ish. So it's only an hour throughout the whole thing.
It's an hour from the first phone call to the last phone call. But the thing that it's even stupider is...
You have to kill so many people during that time.
They are told to lock Goda and Kumasawa by 11 p.m. Then they go to the shed. This is also why I say the shed and guest house are really close to each other, because there's no way this timing would work. So they are told to lock Goda and Kumasawa on the shed at 11 p.m. So they do that, then they come back, then Zheshka is summoned, then they go to the entrance of the guest house, say their goodbyes to Zheshka, go back up again, and then George is summoned. And this whole thing is just 10 minutes. And then from the moment Zheshka is in the mansion up until the last phone call, it's only 37 minutes. You only have 37 minutes to deal with Zheshka, George, and Kirie, and Goda and Kumasawa. So you have to kill 5 people in 37 minutes.
And that just means, if that is true, that's around 7 minutes for each person, which means it's probably easier if
Oh, and Nanjo. You also have to kill Nanjo.
Nanjo. Okay, so it's probably easy because in your version, because there's 3 people killing, so they could be able to divide time better. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, yeah. And also, I forgot to explain why Kraus is...
I mean, I don't even necessarily believe Goda and Kumasawa was dead when Battler saw them.
Okay, that could work.
Because
that doesn't exactly disrupt the detective's authority.
yeah, because it doesn't. Because the thing is, he look at them through the window, and he does. And the thing is, the tip menu never changes. The first person he confirms dead is George, because that's the person he actually sees dead on the ground. If you want to basically say like, oh, she doesn't have enough time, then I believe Goda and Kumasawa is still alive when Battler saw them.
Yeah.
3 people that actually need to be killed is only Jessica, George, and Kiria. Those are the 3 people that actually need to be killed. Everybody else could be killed later.
Yeah, that's true. But it's still just, even before that, only 10 minutes to walk Goda and Kumasawa on the guest house, and then come back, and then Jessica is called, and they talk a bit outside the guest house.
Well, that depends on how you interpret how loyal these people are to Sayo, or like who is going to help her and what is happening. Like, that's just basically, I mean, while we have actually seen in My Confession, which, we don't have to 100% say it's correct or anything, like, it's like Cannon shoots Jessica. Like, I think that's thematically important, and also, like, emotionally important that Cannon shoots Jessica. But I could get on board with the idea that you say, like, Genji was the one who stalled for most of the time.
Yeah. Let me just say 2 things before I forget.
Okay.
The first one is the red truth, that Cannon is the first in his group to die. In my theory, George dies first. But George is not part of Cannon's group, so we're cool on that. Also, why is Kraus found at the back entrance of the mansion? Well, remember me saying that some people maybe didn't fall asleep instantly and still ran through the mansion a bit? Well, Kraus was one of them.
Okay, I think the order of death could be determined by the fact how the red truth was given. The thing is like, EP4 has less red truth than even EP1, which is kind of fucking insane to think about. But like, it's the type of thing where I think EP4, because they tell you exactly what Cannon's, like, when does Cannon die, I think Jessica dies right before that number. And that determines...
Right before Cannon dies?
Yes. Because Cannon dies as...
I agree, because there's no reason for Cannon to exist.
Correct.
After that point.
Yeah, I mean, honestly speaking, I personally will have to say, most people, if they weren't dead out inside, died exactly where they were.
Yeah.
Like, where, like, Battler found them. Because those are too much of a random place to die. That's also kind of why I think Nanjo died later, because Nanjo died closer to where closer to where Shannon died in the end. So I feel like they were just like one of the last peoples in the woods, like one of the last people alive, and then she called him to the woods and then killed him there, and then while he was fleeing, like running away from her. I don't know. I don't necessarily 100% like feel like ready for that theory, but that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I didn't explain why Shannon died there.
Well, the reason why Shannon dies there is...
because it was easy to set up the trick.
Yes, that's the only reason.
If you don't know what trick we're talking about, it involves a string and a gun that would then fall through the grid into the tunnel after being shot.
Yeah, that's the same trick that she pulls in EP2.
Yeah, I don't know how it works, but it's in Confession, so...
No, wait, what do you mean by you don't know how it works?
How does tying a string to a gun and then pulling the string...
No. Okay. So actually, this is actually way easier to explain. The metal grating is large enough for you to fit your hands through, like your arms through.
Yeah, I get that part.
Think about this. She's holding a gun barrel, like the half of the gun is through the grating. So it's not actually a string. She just shoves both of her arms through the metal grating, and she's holding the gun to her head. I don't even remember. I think there's safety on it. Like, you take off the safety and you basically press both of your thumbs on the trigger and you just push it, and then when you like, and you know, the knockback will knock you backwards from away from the metal grating, and then of course your hands will be clutching the gun anymore, so the gun falls into the well. Like, that's how that's like, it's not just a string, that's the actual specificity of how that shot was able to be done. The same idea is in the one in Natsuhi's room. She kind of reaches, I think it's like the type of table that has like a back piece open where you can reach your hand through like a drawer, and then she like does the same thing. Like, she shoots her head and then the gun falls behind the drawer, like the table, and then you just like can't see it.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. Oh, and we also didn't, but it's really easy. We didn't mention Maria.
Easy. Fucking
but it's
poison,
easy.
Poison.
Just calls her, gives her the magical pill to the golden one. Take the golden pill, Maria.
Yeah.
Then she does. Then she's just placed next to her mother. Then she goes back, destroys half the face of everybody from the first Twilight. Just goes, places the magical stakes everywhere they need to be.
I honestly speaking, when did Battler actually start
investigating?
Yeah,
right after his test.
Really?
Yeah, he investigated the whole night long until the feeling of fear wore off, and he just sat down eating and drinking.
That is really not that long of a time.
A whole night?
No, I didn't. Not that long. If like anybody was left alive after the confrontation, like, because I think after the confrontation is when like Sayo goes around to kill the rest of the people.
Oh, you think so?
Yes. Like, rest of the people as in like rest of the servant type people. That's what I meant. Not like kill.
Could be.
Like, because that makes more sense to me, like logistically speaking, because she basically needs everybody alive until she plays into last moment. And if she wanted to get out of the island or get to know anything, then she probably needed as many people alive as possible on her side before she kills all of them.
Okay, so the only difference is that Kumasawa and Goda wouldn't be killed when I say they are.
Yes. And maybe Nanjo was killed later as well.
I could also, now that I think about it, Nanjo could also be one of the ones who wasn't completely poisoned and also managed to run away a bit before actually falling down like Kraus. But then I'd have to rearrange the events that happened. So I don't know if I want to do that right now, but I acknowledge that as a possibility. So Mushroom, do you want to tell me about your theory?
I think, I have read a lot of things on the internet. I still kind of agree with the idea that Kiria was in on it, like, as in she was like an accomplice that like helped for the majority of like basically specifically EP4, because I feel like that makes
so let's go through that. Let's try to understand it from the perspective of Kiria accomplice theory.
Yeah.
So everyone is alive when Jessica and George are called. Is that correct? Because you think...
No. Well...
No?
I think I mentioned this earlier in my other theory, in the other episode where we just spent 20 hours fucking discussing about this, is that I think it's highly possible that, they split them into groups. They basically did a lot of threatening. I mean, I also even like the idea how Corey Coleman said that, it's easy to buy Jessica. Like, you didn't even have to threaten death, or you could just threaten, your parents is gonna die or something. Like, I think the reason why I dislike the way how a lot of online people explain EP4 is that while everybody could laugh at this and say he's just writing fanfics about Umineko, other people are actually writing fanfics about EP4, because then you are basically ignoring every single white text moment that is happening in EP4 and just only trying to fit timeline and red truths.
Yeah.
And I think that is also bad. So that's why I liked your idea of explaining that why Genji or why Ronove was there or something.
Yeah, but I also don't really like this theory. I think it likes some spice.
Yeah.
But oh well, it's the only thing I could come up with. No thank you, Ryukishi, for writing an episode without a detective going around.
For example, I don't really know, what is happening with, the whole Kiria speech, because, the whole Kiria speech not only is super elaborate, it's nothing that she can come off on the top of her head with, if that makes any sense. Like the Kiria speech about like the last speech that she has with Battler. The one where she describes like even the order of deaths and like where did Cannon die? Where did Shannon die? Where did Krause's die? And where does Nanjo die? And like that is so specific to the point that there's no way that either she came up with it. Like she has to be very committed to the plan to say those exact things, unless like, you know, like Sayo was just standing there listening to her the whole time and decided to go back and recreate all those things. Like, do you know what I mean?
Wait, but did she tell them when everyone? I think only George's death is said the location of. I don't think Kiria says anything about the location of.
Well, she doesn't. Death. She says like, for example, like I don't know how much Kiria described the whole chase thing to Battler, but like Battler knew that like, oh, like the reason why Shannon is at the grading is because she was killed after like Cannon, like, you know what I mean? Like, and like the reason why I can't get to Cannon's body is because Cannon's body fell through the well. And like, you know, they describe this whole like fantastical scene. It's like, oh, Krause's body is here because he almost made it, and like Nanjo's body is in the middle between both of them because he was killed the third. Like, you know what I mean? Like that is so specific that like Kitty has to be on it to read out that whole thing. Like, you know, like that is not something anybody can come off on the top of their head, because that's something that like Battler even confirms while he goes through the body. So that means all of those information was relayed to Battler. And it's also fucking insane. Like, there's no way Kiria was even feeling remotely threatened while she was reading any of those things. Because, okay, if I was in a situation where my life is in, like, peril and I'm gonna fucking die, and I think somebody else is shooting outside of my door or something, I wouldn't be able to calmly re-encounter the most fantastical scenes that's happening. Even though I like the idea that, like, oh, like, Shannon was trying to shoot her from the outside of the door or something, or, you know, or trying to shoot her through the door or something. I don't think any of that happened. I think...
See, but in my theory, you don't need to have Kiria being pressured. Like, the only pressure the least pressure she could have in my theory is she's in the room with Sayo, and she doesn't yet know that Sayo knows of her desertion, so she's just pretending to still be aligned with her.
I mean, yeah, all of that is like very, I think that's fine with me. Like what I'm trying to describe or what I'm trying to rebut is like the things that I read on the internet.
Okay, yeah, about Kiria talking about everybody's locations. She doesn't actually in text say where they died. Ryukishi does something really funny, which is instead of having Kiria actually say, oh, we were fleeing through the pipe, and then Kanon died and fell, and then Nanjo died. No, he just has narration saying, Kiria told me about how she had escaped somehow and ran away to where she was now, and how everyone had finally been killed. You know, he's obscuring what Kiria actually said.
Oh, no. I 100% agree that he didn't actually tell us what Kiria said to Battler. But what I'm trying to say is that, like, I don't know how much is Battler trying to just imagine on the spot, or what, like, when he sees, like, why is he convinced that Cannon's body is through the well or something like that? Like, it's like that kind of stuff.
No, yeah, I'm not saying what Butler tells us isn't just him theorizing. My only point is, we don't know if Kiria actually
said any of those things,
described to him where the bodies are, because all we have is narration saying Kiria told Butler how they died.
Yes, correct. That's also true. Yeah, I mean, I think EP4 is really hard, and you can basically write for like a bunch of different versions of this if you truly wanted to. Some who write Kiria more worse than the other versions, and you know, and I mean, yeah. I also definitely think like. There's a bunch of different gunshot wounds on the ground, like after like a gunshot like shots on the like floor of Kiria's room, and I think that was shot after Kiria died.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But let's go back to the logistics of Kiria accomplice theory. So you say Jeska was just brought in and told you've got to do this for your parents' sake, or they're gonna die or something, or they need money and shit. But if Sayo is in the room with Jeska, then somebody else has got to be with George outside. So what would the correlation with the fantasy narrative be for George's battle?
I don't know. You're gonna be fighting with Kiria.
With Kiria?
I don't know. Like, honestly speaking, this is some...
Could be. Kiria's gap. I could see it.
I mean, a lot of people who theorize this online actually think that Jessica was basically bought in before, like, George.
What?
So basically, Jessica was told that George was gonna die, so she does the phone call. And then she gets shot first, and then George dies. And then Shannon goes to George and then kills George.
I don't know if I like Sayo telling Jessica to say that George is already dead, even though she doesn't know what's going on that side.
No. I don't necessarily agree.
What if George didn't even show up in the gazebo? Like, what if George forgot his wallet, I don't know, on the guest house and then went back and he's in the guest house as Jessica is having the phone call with Butler and tells him George is already dead and George is there picking up his wallet.
I don't know. It doesn't... I mean, timeline still works. I mean, I guess, like... Or you could say she killed George already and then Genji is there to hold off Jessica, and then, you know, Kenna shows up and being like, hello, read this, and so I can shoot you. Or not those exact words, but I don't know. I think this is what I mean by I probably have to just write my own better theory of EP4. I didn't come with a full theory today just because I haven't had much time thinking about it, but, you know, maybe when I do, I will come back and I will just tell you my whole thought process about it.
Yeah. Another thing I don't really like about this theory of Kiria Compoise, without the twist of her turning against Sayo, is that where is Rudolph? Because Kiria, if Rudolph is poisoned to death, I don't think Kiria would.
I don't think that's why in my theory I don't think they're poisoned to death or anything. I think I mentioned this on the early time. I think that people were split up and they're held as hostage.
I don't like that. Okay, but okay.
That's one of the reasons. I think we already spent a lot of time in the previous episode to even talk about how is it possible to split everybody up? How is it possible to keep everybody happy? Like, so on and so forth.
Yeah, next episode you need to come with a theory.
Oh my god, I will. Or something. I will have to come up with something.
You will. I will not allow you to record any more episodes.
Anyway, yeah, this is another very long episode. I can't believe...
I haven't even gotten into the rest of my thoughts, Mushroom.
Oh my fucking god, it's 2 hours.
Because I have spoiler thoughts. You're the one who insisted we start discussing the theories before covering the thoughts of the parts we've covered in this episode.
I'm literally gonna die. Okay, go for it.
Okay, so...
So what is it?
No, I'm reading my thoughts, Mushroom. Calm down, calm your horses, yo.
Damn.
So, Lorenz, are you still there?
Lorenzo's dying.
A little bit. I'm I had to take care of some IRL stuff too, but I'm tuned in.
Okay. There's this line that Butler says to Beato during the tea party, which is, I demand that you repeat it. Among all of the people in the dining hall, not one had multiple different names. And this man really shot at the moon and hit the sun. Because Sayo is literally in the room, and she is a person with different names. But Butler's point was in regards to Kinzo.
I mean, that's fucking stupid, because not even saying that, but like, Shannon already has a different name. The different name is Sayo. And we already know that.
That's also true.
Like, it doesn't even need to be that deep about it. Like, Canon has a different name. We just don't know what it is yet.
Yeah. Also, about this scene, Beato doesn't even try to cut it down with a red truth, saying something like only one person can have the name Kinzo. Just like she doesn't cut down with the red many other blue truths that Butler says during this tea party, which just goes to show you how done she is with the game and just wants it to get over with no matter the answer. Yeah,
exactly. That's what I was talking about. Like, you asked me, like, do most people believe like the EP4 red truth or blue truth and red truth? And I'm like, no, because most people already have a pretty good idea. Especially if you're a Let's Player, you already spend way too much time trying to think about Umineko. So you're either thinking like, why didn't she encounter that red truth, or being like, oh, I thought about that before and I think that's a stupid thought now, or something.
Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna read this thought. It says, at the end, Beato still has a last glimmer of hope, This is before the reversal. This is before Butler convinces Beato to give it her all. So Beato still has a last glimmer of hope and asks Butler to explain magic, like the restoring of the candy. And then Butler replies with the brown tube analogy, kind of the same as the cat box analogy, which is essentially saying that because you don't look inside it, you don't know what's actually in there, so any explanation works. So at this point, Butler already understands that what he's shown might not be the truth. And he even mentions how it can be recontextualized to the rest of the mystery, but he's still satisfied with his answer because his win condition was just to find an answer that technically fits. So he stops thinking, which just frustrates me because Butler already understands all magic is just an illusion. He just doesn't go the extra step and stops thinking.
I mean, that scene is very fascinating because the whole, like, that's basically like the EP8 scene, which is this a trick or a magic? Like, basically.
Yes,
And
except...
Balor says it's a trick, but I'm not going to explain it to you.
But it goes extra hard here because Beato is literally wanting to die because Butler just won't get it. And then he says this shit. He just stops thinking. And it's just like, okay, well, my last glimmer of hope is gone now. Just fucking kill me already, Butler. And then this motherfucker doesn't even kill her. I swear, like...
Well, because he doesn't know how to kill her yet. That's the whole point.
No, he knows. He has already...
Well, because,
Like, he's given all of these blue truths that Beato hasn't denied. So he just needs to say, therefore... witches don't exist. That's all he needs to say in blue to kill Beato. But he doesn't say it because he wants Beato to get fired up. He's like, I don't want to kill you with that face on, Beato.
Well, I don't actually think that's true. Like, no. Like, I don't think that's the right way to think about the scene. Because the thing is like, Battler can't necessarily kill her because he doesn't actually know. He knows how it's not, but he knows what magic isn't, but he doesn't know what magic is, if that makes any sense. Like, he is just insufficient at, like, actually having all the ammo to, like, prove her like that's like this is how specifics of magic. I think he could just say like, oh, like it's like the same logic I have about EP6's like the logic error, which is that Balor could have technically speaking broke the logic error, but like he chose not to. Like Balor didn't win because he triumphed Beatrice. He just, Beatrice, he's winning because Beatrice is giving up.
Yes, but I don't agree with you saying that Butler doesn't have an answer, because he does have an answer, and he's with...
Like, his answers are insufficient, that's what I mean. Like, these are not...
Why are they insufficient?
Because Lambda Delta literally says that his answers are not right and not...
But he doesn't need to have the right answer, he just needs to have an answer.
That's what you and I disagree about, that's what I just said. Like,
How do you disagree about that? That's literally what's happening here. Beato accepting a wrong answer.
No, but what I'm trying to say is that basically Lambda Delta literally says, like, there's lots of his blue truths are completely invalid because of the fact that because he didn't account for other red truth that was mentioned in other part of the games. And that's why I said none of those things are sufficient to kill her because they're not even the right answers. Like, because,
but that's exactly... Like, when you make a theory, it's either validated or invalidated by the other party. So, Lambda Delta does... Like, she knows what the real answer is, so... To her, those truths are invalid.
No, but she doesn't even, but that's not what I'm trying to say. Like, that's saying that, like, to Lambda Delta, there's only one version of, like, the events could possibly happen. But, like, what Lambda Delta doesn't not only say, like, Lambda Delta provides additional red truth. That is very true. But what Lambda Delta also provides is Lambda Delta says, oh, this one thing that Battler said in EP4 with a blue truth is stupid because it has been encountered by a previous red truth that's said in EP2.
But even so, in the context of the battle that was happening, Beato accepted the answers, so they were valid. That's the whole mechanic of the blue and red battle. If the blue isn't cut out, then it is valid. And Beato did not cut it out. Beato was allowing it to happen because she just wanted to be killed.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by it's insufficient killing. That's why she's not gonna die, because none of those things has actually hit her heart. of the truth. Like, that's literally, like, that's, I mean, I agree that, like, you know, like, she did accept lots of red truth, like, lots of blue truth that, you know, like, maybe she could have actually cut down with things that she had said before. For example, like, small bombs is accepted because, technically speaking, small bombs is not completely false because there are bombs on the island, and aren't bullets also just small bombs anyway, you know? But like, there's a lot of things that she could have said about that, but she accepted it, and that's why you and I both agree that small bombs is not a bad theory. It is true that their stomachs were bursted open with quote unquote small bombs, and what that means is a fucking shotgun.
I didn't agree with that. That's not the reason I said it wasn't a bad boo.
Oh, then you know,
I don't think bullets should be considered small bombs.
It kind of is a small bomb. It's a tiny bullet that like explodes when it hits something. So like, if that's not a small bomb, then I don't know what it is.
Well, if it hits a person, it doesn't explode.
A shotgun bullet does.
Maybe it explodes when it's shot. I guess it is a small bomb.
No, it hits on impact. Like, it's like a tiny grenade, if you want to think about it in that way.
Grenade launchers.
But like, what I'm trying to say is that, like, okay, well, if that's you and I disagree about why we accept small bomb, then I do disagree with you on that side then. But
I think we could no, because we need to clearly define the rules here. So I think the rules, by what you're telling me, is that winning a game and killing the witch are two different things. To win a game, you just need to have an answer. To kill the witch, you need to have the real answer.
Yes.
Okay.
That's my personal take on that.
See, we need to have these things very clearly defined. Okay.
Yes.
I agree. So, what was I saying? I was saying okay. Yeah, I was talking about how Butler didn't want to like accept, because from his point of view, he was killing Beto. So he didn't want to kill Beto with her allowing herself to be killed. He wanted to kill Beto with Beto fighting back. So it's just kind of selfish that he's like not even allowing Beto, who's going through all this suffering, to just fucking die. He wants this person who's actually miserable right now to get up and fight like they are having the time of their lives.
Well, no, but I also disagree with that. I think that has to do with Battler actually respecting Beatrice as a person. Like, he thinks it's about being dignified and like, or not dignified, or being like actually giving your best, or just, you know, giving up and not caring. And like, Battler's like, that's my personal take on it. I actually really like that scene because, like, I mean, it is really, I think contextually speaking, like, you know, if you're reading it, you're like, why is this happening? Like, why is Battler dragging this unfortunate woman through the fucking like mud? But like, to Battler's perspective, he's like, you're not even being serious. Like, I thought we were doing this because, like, you know, you care about this a lot and I care about this a lot, and now you're just trying to like push me off and just give me cheap like victories because you're done with this. Like, where is your like resolve as a person? And it makes sense to me. Like, I mean, that's actually one of the reasons why Dubs really like this scene, because Dubs thinks like, it's like, is there any, like, his joke was like, is there anything more romantic than being like, I want to fight you at your most, instead of accepting like cheap victories.
Yeah. Remember how you said this was a lot about vibes?
Yes.
I guess you do really need a lot of vibes. The vibes I got from this were the opposite. I guess that's the conclusion we're coming to this is, to you, Butler just wanted Beata to die dignified, as in his vision she deserves, even though she's horrible, also in his vision. I think Beato really wasn't feeling it. She was just pretending to successfully have gotten fired up by Butler. She was just putting on a show because she knows Butler is very reactionary and he would only actually kill her if she pretended to be into it. I don't think Beato was feeling it.
Oh, 100%. I mean the thing is like, all of, like, even when they were fired up, Battler still gave her wrong, like, he didn't give her right, like, answers, or remotely right answers, so, like, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I understand where you're getting at, but, like, I think...
Because even after that, Beato just keeps insulting Angie and stuff, that just comes out as...
that completely is the opposite.
As her trying to egg Butler on to have the courage to kill her, basically.
Oh, 100%. It's... yes. Sorry. I'm gonna fucking die.
Doing okay? Too much talking?
Yeah, oh, Jesus Christ.
I guess we should wrap it up then.
Yeah, I only have one
Just
last thought.
Okay, Des, what's your
Okay.
one last thought?
Of course.
I'm sorry. I know I keep this should get added to the bingo card. It's always me saying I have one more thought.
Yeah, that should be our last block on the bingo block.
Yes, so basically it's about the very end of the security party, where it's just Bern and Wanda laughing her asses off, and that's the precise moment Bern in Umineko went from apathetic to absolute cruelty incarnate. That's the moment. She just gets so happy knowing she's about to turn this game around.
Yeah? Is that your last thought?
It is.
It's very good.
Okay, Beato, who just wants to get this over with.
I'm so sorry. That's not true. I'm just, life is hard.
It's been a while, a long time, but good thoughts all around everybody.
It's tough. I'm sorry, Lorenzo, that we have completely left you by the wayside, but honestly speaking,
No, it's okay.
yeah.
I just have things coming up like I don't know. There's just a lot of IRL stuff happening, so I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. I'll take care of that.
Yeah, I feel like every time we call now, you're like, sorry, I have IRL things happening in the background. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, it's just things.
It's just things.
But I'm good. It's just smells.
Okay, so I guess
Are you ready to sign off?
this was a episode 40 party length book club.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yes, it really was.
I will have to say, we're gonna do a part 2 of this episode eventually.
What?
Right? About
We are?
the emotional part about this thing, right? That's what he said.
Yes.
Because with Sayome, isn't that literally what we have been saying this whole time?
Yes.
So, so when we come back here, we will revisit lots of things. So if I didn't talk about all the things that you wanted to talk about, I promise you I will get there somehow. Or, I don't owe you anything. Like, we're not friends. And I also don't have a full theory on EP4 yet. Please don't grill me about it. I'll write out my theory thoughts. Des literally spent a whole 40 minutes reading out his paper, so I deserve to have that too.
Yeah, and it was really hard coming up with a theory. Like, episode 4 was actually the hardest.
Yeah.
And I don't even like the theory.
Yeah, it is. It's very hard. We could sign up.
Yeah, thank y'all for listening and talking. We'll see Cats Do Crimes. Catch you later.
See ya.
Say goodbye, everyone.
ya.
See you in EP5.
Oh, God.
Fuck.
We're never. I don't even feel like this is an ending episode. Jesus Christ.
See you in season 2.
Welcome to the When We Cry book. Fuck.
Yeah,
oh my god. I still don't got it.
It's the first Lorenzo fuck up in so long.
In a world where no one has the absolute truth of Umineko, 4 poor souls took on the challenge of unraveling all its mysteries and interpretations.
Okay. Anyways, speaking of fucked up shit, let's talk about Umineko. So, let me tell you.
Lorenzo, the summary right here.
Logistics. Let's start thinking about logistics.
That's the logistics.
I had this conversation with Des, actually.
Yes.
Well, Des was like,
I agree with you, by the way. Now I have changed mine.
yeah. I'm gonna explain it anyway, so I can make fun of you.
Mushroom, the thing is like...
It's a real heated debate every episode, isn't it?
Can be the only calm person here.
They are split into groups by money and guns.
I totally agree with all the crazy magic stuff. That would be really, really hard to recount and keep consistent.
Yes.
Right? It's not like Saya was like, okay, guys, so these are my OCs.
Wait. George also told Sayo that he saw Eva drug some corpses. And so Sayo, after killing George, went back, picked up the corpses, put them on the gazebo, put the stakes there, and went back to the parlor.
That is ridiculous. That is the most ridiculous idea.
Why is it ridiculous? She's just reconstructing.
Okay,
constructing the rituals. Nobody would find the bodies where Eva would have placed them.
Oh, true. Why the fuck is Nanjo's body that far into the woods? What is happening there? Like, hey, now you can start running, and I'm gonna chase you and fucking shoot you. Like,
Eva didn't want to kill anybody. Like, after she killed Rosa and Maria, I think Eva was just like, I am not killing a single more person in, ever. But then the whole, Kirie and Rudolph ambush Hideyoshi, and so Eva is just like, fine, but this is the last time for sure. But then Hideyoshi dies, and she goes a little crazy. And then George disappears, and she's like, bro, fuck this, I'm killing everybody. I don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
But I do imagine that, like, it crosses her mind that, like, she sees the bodies in the first Twilight, and then she starts her murders, and it's just like, oh, I can just blame this on whoever did this in the first Twilight.
True.
So I think there is, like, a little bit of premeditation.
Rudolph is like, could somebody shut this child's mouth up? And then like Rosa's
Yeah.
like, wait, let me go find my I have Xanax for my child.
I like that. That's such a clever way to introduce, like, there was drugs in the mix.
If anybody in the comment section comes out and it's like, wow, you're all dummies, I know exactly the answer of Ep4, then you're wrong. Like,
And I beat 3 games.
Jesus
And I
Christ.
logged in.
From the outside looking in, it's a little bit sad and pitiful, but who cares? Maria doesn't.
It is so stupid. I hate you so much for it.
Marked off the bingo
Like,
card.
An Umineko theory is as strong as its correlation with the fantasy narrative.
They finally covered the whole question arcs, and it only took them 2 years. Now, they must press on, for it is finally time for the Emblem arcs.